And welcome back. Joining us for our first conversation are representatives from Chamberlain Consultation. Of course, we have Ms. Dionne Chamberlain, who is the CEO, and we have Ms. Teresita Perez Martinez, who is the Chief Implementation Consultant. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to Open Your Eyes. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Yes. For sure. Now, this is a really, really interesting thing. LeaderCast Belize 2017. Tell us all about it, Dionne.
LeaderCast is a yearly event that happens in Atlanta, Georgia, but it is simulcast over 100 countries around the world. And 2 years ago, we were contacted by CILC Coaching out of Barbados, Ian Blanchard, and he asked us to become a part of this because he felt that there was a terrible leadership vacuum in the Caribbean. And although the rest of the First and Second World were feeding this via LeaderCast and other activities, they felt that it was absolutely necessary that the Caribbean starts becoming engaged because we're seeing the rise in crime, the rise in corruption, and the many social ills which are plaguing from youth right up to whatever ages. And he felt that it was time that all of the Caribbean banded together. And so we started this in Barbados, went to Grenada, and then Belize. So this is our second year now in Belize. And what we've realized is that leadership is not a position. It's really action, and it's you making a decision to do something. There are many leaders amongst us. You all are leaders of your homes, of your lives, of your family, and what you reap, you actually do sow, like the Bible says. So it's what you actually put in. In fact, earlier, my husband mentioned to me that one of the speakers, Henry Cloud, mentioned that a lot of us as leaders want to have hope, but hope doesn't take you anywhere. Neither does perseverance if you don't have an ending. And so the reality is, leadership and LeaderCast this year is focused on the theme, powered by focus. So, powered by focus. Purpose, sorry. Yeah, and unless you have a purpose, you understand what the ending is. So leadership is nothing unless you know what is the end game, where it is that you're going. LeaderCast is meant to recharge you if you're already a leader, because you do get burnt out, you get tired. It is meant to give you direction, and if you have a question in your mind where it is that you're going, but it also helps you to hone in on what your purpose is and what your focus is so that you can carry on throughout that year. So it is an investment in yourself. But it's also an investment in your country, in where it is that you're going. Because as a leader, if you look behind you and there's nobody following, then you're not a leader. And if you're only there because you're paying somebody, then it doesn't make any sense. People have to want to move on, and we do need a shift and a paradigm shift in the way we're thinking, in our behaviors. Because behaviors shape habits and then become our actions for the rest of the year and the rest of our lives. So it's important that we do have events like LeaderCast, and that's why we're excited to bring it to Belize.
Now, I appreciate the fact that you pointed out that the Caribbean is seen to have a vacuum when it comes to leadership. And I think that it's perhaps some of it may be cultural, some of it may be just sheerly the size and the opportunities that we have within this particular region. How do you take an event like this that will obviously be very motivational and very inspirational and help people to move towards action? Because as you pointed out, hope is really, while I think it's great to keep you going, it cannot sustain you the entire time. You need to find opportunities, you need to jump on them and keep on working towards this. Is this just a motivational tool for you to follow through, or is there some kind of course of action that comes after?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because one of the things that we like to do at Chamberlain Consulting is we do a lot of what we call follow-up. And for example, with LeaderCast, yes, LeaderCast is a one-day event, but once all attendees of LeaderCast, because you do registration in the beginning and we get all your contact information, and there's a constant weekly contact that we do with everyone who's attended this event, along with other people who we have trained along the way. So weekly, Dr. Miranda sends out a motivational Monday, a blog, and those always end with courses of action, questions of what you have done differently, what you could do moving forward. And we find that a lot of people do still respond to that and give us their best practices or how they cope with different things. And for that reason, that then gets shared among everybody else. And then you see more people sharing, and before you know it, people start implementing different things within their organizations. And we know because they come back to us and they tell us the changes that they've made. And we have other people who come back and tell us, this is the shift that we've seen since then. LeaderCast, yes, is one day, but it's one day and it happens worldwide. One of the things that is very interesting about LeaderCast Belize is because we're one of the few countries who do add our own personal flair to the event. So while things are happening in Atlanta, performances and awards being given out to who they consider like their leader worth following, which is the award that's given every year, in Belize, we're doing the exact same thing for a Belizean leader. We have our own local moderators who take the different talks that are taking place, and then after that, in the room, they bring just a brief synopsis of that, and the room is usually set up where we have different tables, and right there, people start interacting with each other from different companies and start sharing their ideas so that we know even before we leave on that day of LeaderCast, people have gathered tools, not just from the speakers, but amongst themselves of things that they can implement locally.
And they've developed friendships, which means that yes, it's a day event, but they're actually going back to their individual companies, but having somebody to reach out to. And one of the things that we do, again, with our firm, is that many of the companies who are a part of this have been trained by us. And so they are leaders worth following because they are implementing what happens in LeaderCast in their daily events, in their daily lives, and at the same time, they're practicing what they were trained on. And leadership is really about having certain values and then behaviors that correspond. And the values are integrity, authenticity, putting people first, excellence, and discipline. And the behaviors are bravery, being beyond you, not only thinking of yourself all the time, thinking about how it will impact someone else, having vision, and again, the end game. What is the end picture? Where am I going to end up? A lot of us, we get invited somewhere and we just go. We don't ask, why are you inviting me? What is the purpose? What will I get out of it? What will be my defining moment? What is my purpose for being there? Simplicity. A lot of us think that leadership has to be convoluted, a big plan, a big, huge thing. It's just very, very simple. People just want to know what, who, when, where, why, how. That's it, nothing else. And then there's actually creativity, but insight. Not only looking at what people are saying, but listening to them and understanding deeper within pain, suffering, vulnerability, happiness, excitement, joy, and capitalizing on that. Many times as leaders, we think that we want to push people and push them beyond what they are comfortable doing. You don't ask a fish to climb a tree. In your environments, within your workplaces, you do things that people are comfortable with. Both of you are comfortable in front of the camera. We're not going to put the camera guy in front here and you behind the camera to see how we can stretch you. Let's use you for what you're amazing for, and both of you know that this is what you're made for. So at the very end of the day, that is what leadership is about, and we're hoping that this really becomes a revolution. Of course, there are many different facets of leadership.
Now, let me ask. Last year, you had the first LeaderCast in Belize. It's a simulcast, so it's taking place in Atlanta, and you're able to tap in here and other parts of the world. What were some of the things you learned from that experience about how Belizeans view leadership?
A lot of people are looking for you to tell somebody, because after it was over, why didn't you like this one? Why didn't you make some more ministers come? Why didn't you make... It's not about that. Leadership is a decision that you make. Nobody can tell you to become a leader. You have to decide, because many of us are comfortable being followers. However, before you can be a leader, you have to learn how to follow. And many people who think that leadership is a position decide that I want to tell you what to do and you what to do and how you should do it. That's not what leadership is about. Leadership is about allowing your people, no judgments, not taking things personal, not making assumptions, looking at things positively. Everybody wants to do well in this world. That's one thing we found out. People want to do well. But we always go out there looking to tear down things. I listen to the talk shows every day. We know how to tear down every wall, but we don't know how to build any bridges. And until we stop picking on every activity and every action that everybody does and thinking it's something horrible, and start seeing the beauty and the light in it, because everybody's trying to do well. Everybody wants to make a change. in life and live a legacy.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, because I kind of expected to hear that out of your past experience. You know, in Belize, we do very well with analyzing and over-analyzing situation. And you know, given the challenges we've faced as a developing nature, we've developed a sense of cynicism. We don't believe things will work. We don't believe people have good intentions. And therefore, we don't buy in from very early. In hearing some of the presentations made in the previous LeaderCast, what do you think are some of the lessons that people took away to be able to change that particular mindset?
I think one of the things that's very important that people took away is that a lot of times we see leadership as something where we will get this whole rah-rah, where we will get recognized for all the great things that we do. But in reality, leadership very rarely comes with any form of gratitude. So at the end of the day, I think one of the biggest lessons of LeaderCast is that when you're a leader, it doesn't necessarily come with all the pomp and circumstance that you sometimes expect. It really comes with you having these values and having these behaviors and then acting them out on a daily basis. And you will start to notice the shift and changes in the people around you. A leader isn't a manager. A leader doesn't necessarily mean you have a group of people who you are expected to give direction to or show direction to. A leader really is something that's innate, something that you do. And when you start seeing the changes around the people, that is when you will know. So don't expect for somebody to come and tell you, oh, you're my motivation, you don't know how much you've inspired me. Chances are they won't, but you will see it.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask, because when it comes to leadership, like you were talking about, it's not necessarily a position. It's not a position at all. And for a lot of people in Belize, that's the mindset. So for the people who won't be attending this really important conference, how do you ensure that the people who do attend are able to affect change on those people? Because when you're in the workplace and there are persons who have managerial positions, or they're the CEOs, or they've been there the longest, a lot of times they're stuck, everybody else is stuck in the mentality that, oh, I want to affect change, but I can't, I have no agency. How do you translate that, ensure that the people who are there translate that to everybody else?
One day I felt a little bit disappointed in exactly what you're talking about, because I'm talking about how we're going out there, we're doing so many things. And Teresita brought me back in spot, and I want her to tell you her starfish story, which whenever I start to think, you know, we're not hitting as many people as we need to, we're talking to thousands and yet maybe 2 converts, I realize this story.
Right. So the starfish story is really that one day there's a child just walking along the beach, and the tide has come in and it washed up miles and miles of starfish on shore. And so the child walking along starts picking up the starfish and throwing them back in. So an older person comes by and tells the child, he said, what are you doing? And so the child tells the older person, he said, well, I'm putting them back in the water because if I don't, they'll die. And the older person said, you're never going to be able to put all of them back into the water. He said, look, there's miles and miles. The sun is setting. You know, there's no way you're going to be able to do this. So the child picks up a starfish and throws it back in and says, it made a difference for that one person. And really, that's what our hope is with LeaderCast. If we make a difference or a shift in one person, that person makes a shift in one more person. That person makes a shift in one more person. So it's a ripple effect. So we don't go in there thinking that we're going to change everybody that comes. We're going to motivate everybody that comes. Because you're right. We do have, we really don't believe that we're able to effectuate change. But if one person has that belief and that one person passes it on to somebody else, if we had that ripple effect, not just in Belize but over the world, imagine how many wars would end. Imagine what the peace that we'd finally have. And so really that's what we focus on. Making a shift in maybe a significant few, and that gives us motivation to continue.
Now, let's talk about a gender-specific perspective. We've talked about women in leadership a lot. We've talked about what we can do to help build leadership skills in young girls and even in young boys to be able to have them adapt leadership roles as they become older. And I think that one of the things that seems to be missing is understanding that we tend to appreciate leadership differently based on gender, and the expectations of gender-specific leaders is very different. How do you incorporate this in a event like this to ensure that the message is one that will resound with all?
I think that the planners of this event made sure that they would pull in different types of speakers, and I'll give you one of them. I'm very impressed by the fact that Tyler Perry, he will be giving his story, and I'll tell you something, that just his being present brings in a whole different grouping of people. Men who have suffered in their lifetime, young hopefuls. He has really spread across the wide divide. Then there's Daniel Pink. He's the intellectual, and he has been well known because of his TEDx presences, and so he talks about strategy and culture, and he brings in that side. But then in Belize, for instance, last year our leader worth following was Dara Robinson. Dara comes from very humble beginnings, is there trying to make a difference within schools, a feeding program. And what I got from Dara's conversation last year was, he said, this is the first time anyone has ever invited my wife to come with me. He says, because they always only want to praise me, but they don't know that behind Dara is this woman who is sacrificing the food, cooking every day, plus has her daytime job that she needs to go to. And so at the very end of the day, like you said, the divide. Yes, for every great leader, there's a great man or woman behind them who is supporting them. And also, at whatever level it is, I watched that a group of young people did a graffiti design on the side of the street by Vernon Street. That shows leadership. That shows some, of course, we have people going, well, we wonder how long it lasts. And stop wondering. Just be pleased by what it has done and the emotion that it evokes. Because when I drove up to it yesterday, I was awed by the beauty of it. Let's start focusing on where it is that we're feeling, but realizing, like you mentioned, they're the men, the women, they're the children. You see them in classrooms. When you're doing projects at school, who takes up that leadership role and gets that project done and submits it in well? The person who knows that they're willing to speak or just willing to design. Let's start to appreciate each other for our differences, our similarities, and our diversity of talents. But all of us are created to manifest the glory of God that is within us, and that is where the beauty comes from, and that is where true leadership really resides.
I'm glad you brought up Tyler Perry, because how can we neglect to mention is one of the presenters for LeaderCast 2017, and definitely someone with huge appeal to the masses. Who are some of the other presenters that people can expect to hear from?
Sorry. No, we have, for example, Henry Cloud. He's a psychologist, and he was one of the speakers last year. And I think one of the good things with Henry Cloud is that he really brings into context and makes you sit down and really analyze where you are currently in your leadership role. Right? Last year he spoke about having 4 different quadrants and figuring out where are you right now, where you want to be. We have people like Molly Fletcher, and she is known as the female Jerry Maguire. Right? So we also have, when we're talking about the different appeals, we have Jess Eskrom. Jess Eskrom is probably one of the youngest CEOs. She started her own company called Headbands of Hope. And she's really more of the appeal to the youth because of her age and because of what she's accomplished in that short period of time. And she's very excited to be on the LeaderCast this year. We have Andy Stanley and Daniel Pink, also both very motivational leadership people. Last year we had Steve Wozniak, who's one of the co-founders of Apple. He was one of the headliners, and so he also spoke about basically how they started off and how people really didn't believe in them and what they were wanting to do, and looking at how now, you know, Apple is one of the multi-million-dollar companies in the world, really. So that's an example of the lineup that we have and some of the different things that we can expect. And of course, all of them will be talking about how do you become powered by purpose, because that's what the theme is about. What is purpose? You know, purpose really is, what is it that we're doing and why are we doing it, right? That's the glue that holds organizations, holds groupings together, the purpose, the reason why we're here. So that will be their focus this year, and that really is our focus. Last year we were architects of tomorrow, right? So what do we need to do to move forward? What is the vision that we have? This year is, what's our purpose and how do we get there?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because not many people spend time trying to figure out what their purpose is in this life, even if they are leaders. Some people stumble into roles and kind of just go with the flow along the way. Perhaps not totally content with what they're doing, maybe content as a leader. Do you have to have an idea? Where do you encourage people, questions they should ask themselves before they go into LeaderCast 2017 in terms of understanding their own personal purpose?
Last year, the question that came out is, what is your water? I mean, what really makes you move? What really makes you tick? What really drives you to the next level? And several people will say something like, well, I love children, you know, and what do you I know you love them, but what do you want them to have? What do you want them to do? What do you want them, you know? And that is how you figure out what it is that you want, because at the very beginning, you have to start off with you. What is making you happy? What can you deliver on? And then moving on to what the people that you're going to be delivering to. Because a lot of times we start off wanting to do something, even if you're starting up a new company, for instance. I want to start up doing a telephone case company. Do people really need that? Do people really want that? Is that satisfying your need to give back, to deliver on what it is that you want? And one of the things I want people to realize, your job sometimes enables you to live your purpose. So don't disqualify your job and say, I don't like my job and I don't like what I do in my work. What I have found out is that you need to pay the mortgage, you need to pay the bills, you need to feed the baby, you need to put Pampers on the child. So don't say, well, I hate my job. If your job enables you to do what is your purpose, care for your family, love your children to the end, live in the nice home that you want, drive the kind of car that you need to have, serve in a spiritual way that you want to, have the love of your life, leave the legacy that you want, then you are living your purpose. And another person that hit me the other day was when Oprah Winfrey was talking about her going to spend 10 days in Nelson Mandela's house. And she told her husband, what do I talk about for 10 days? I have to sound exciting and education and you don't have to sound anything. You just got to learn how to be you. That's what leadership is about. And your legacy is not having your name in lights or having a title after you or naming a building after you. It's really those starfish. The people who you've touched, the people you've moved along. That is what leadership is about. And for both of you, I'm sure that if I ask you right now, who was significant as a leader in your life, you'll bring up some teacher at school who evoked something in you, somebody who you will remember until the end of time. Some of you will be your mother, your father, and it will be because of qualities they had, you know. And so if your purpose is to deliver and make those people proud of you and to be happy and to make other children and other people out there benefit from you and what you have gained in your life, then you would have lived your purpose.
You know what I love about this is that it's apparent that whoever comes to this session, they're going to take away their own perspective of what leadership is. And I love that, because there's no one track way of being a leader. But who are your target audience?
I'm glad you asked that. Really, LeaderCast is for anyone who wants to come. We don't have a target audience per se. If you feel that you're a leader and you just need to fill your bucket again, you just need a little bit of motivation, then come. If you feel like you're not sure, you want to be a leader and you're wavering on the side, then come, you know, find the motivation. It's for anybody. We have youths that come, we have managers and CEOs of companies, you know, we have your Dara Robinson. We had last year, one of the people who came was, she'd heard us on one of the talk shows, and she really, she's just a regular vendor on the street, and she's like, I really want to come to LeaderCast. And we're like, come. It is open to absolutely anyone who's interested in leadership and in making a difference.
Our youngest member last year was my son, 12 years old, and he was excited. And if you look at the promo video, he was dancing, because what they do, they pull together everybody around the world. We're breaking records together. Last year we broke a record for the amount of paper planes thrown at the same time. We blew balloons, and we did chants together as a group. We had games against each other where different teams fought for the loudest chanting within countries, and you know, you're able to win prizes. So basically, you are joined in an overall event that everybody is having fun. So I'm telling you, there's not an age limit. Teresita is mentioning the fruit vendor from Hattieville. She just called up and she sent us a write-up as to why she should be there. We have volunteers. People have called in and said, I can't afford a ticket, but I want to volunteer to help so that I can be there. And so we have like, what, 15 volunteers already?
Wow.
Yeah, and these people are coming in to help us fold shirts, get the packages together, because your ticket comes with your gift packet and all of the additional things that come along with it. But we have to say thank you to our sponsors who, without them, because we have to pay a franchise fee for this. So basically, it's not a revenue generating event. It's really just handling itself. And the Angelos Press has been with us from day one. Belize Productions, Night and Day, Atlantic Bank, Sol Belize. And by the way, all of these people have leaders in them who walk the talk and speak leadership. Sol, BTB, Smart. Smart has been with us, and it's interesting. Smart starts off as a lower level, and every time they're like, can we do more? Let's put in a little bit piece of extra, because they want for people who come to have a great event. Caribbean Treasures, Belize City Council, Biltmore Plaza, Avant-Garde. Everybody Biltmore is the host location, but they're still sponsoring because they want to make sure that the event is well done. Last year, the only complaint we had was that we fed them too much. Imagine, because we make sure that during that day, everything is taken care of so that you can just be immersed in the experience. For moderators this year so far, we have Armando Gomez from Orange Walk, IT Vet. He was so excited last year and he follows John Maxwell. So he wanted to be a moderator and be a part of this. Then there's Sandra McKay. Again, so we wanted the male, female. And we have one more slot open for somebody who because again, leadership is about people who step forward and want to be there, not people who you're forcing and you're cajoling and begging and pushing. Whoever is here wants to be here. Everybody in this room are the people who want to be in that room.
Do you pointed out that you have local counterparts that also do presentations like Dara did last year. Who's going to be presenting?
This year we have Dr. Licenciado Estrada from NARCE. He came from very humble beginnings and he wants to tell his story. So he's been working on that. I think it's the first time he's going to tell Belize everything of where he came from and how difficult life was growing up in Dangriga and then becoming a professional like he is today. And I'm excited about him as well because a lot of people don't know. But there's a lot of children in Belize with autism and Asperger's, and he's helping quite a bit of them to move forward. And my son is one of them. And so again, all of these leaders are around there, just that we don't get to see them, we don't get to be in their midst. And a lot of them don't unfold and unravel because leaders, a lot of them have gone through difficult times, and peeling off the layers of your skin is like an onion, and to get to the core of it. And it's very hard because exposing yourself is difficult, but exposing yourself is when people realize your situation does not determine your destination, and that you can become not where you started, but where you want to be, which is why the leader has to know the end game.
Absolutely. It's the stories that connect us, and your personal story oftentimes can really help other people understand that while our paths are very individual, nobody travels the same path, there are some similarities in it as well.
Yes, and this year we are again going to honor a leader worth following in Belize. And so on that day, we will, everybody else will find out who that leader worth following is. But another thing, like I was mentioning earlier, we do a lot of follow-up. And so this year, one of the things that we're asking all our LeaderCast participants to do is to bring an item to give to Dara's feeding poor monkeys. He was our leader worth following last year, and he's been invited again this year. So it's not that, okay, so you were last year and then that's it, we're just going to have new people this year. No, we're bringing him back. And we're not just bringing him back to be a part, but we want everybody in that room to also be a part of that with him, so that they too can make a difference, even if just in a small way.
And for your viewers who are saying, well, there are lots more leaders that they don't know about, tell us who they are. Don't judge us for not knowing who they are. Tell us who they are, because that is what we need to do. We need to start highlighting the amazing people in Belize who are doing great things. And let's not judge each other. Let's come up with how can we honor these people for the great work and the great things that they're doing, and we are more than pleased to help honor them with you.
You know, one of my favorite programs that can't be continued anymore was First Caribbean's Unsung Heroes, because it really was exactly that. There are many people who do great things in this country, who don't look for the all the PR that comes along with it. They just keep on trudging along and doing what fulfills their purpose, and we should highlight them when we can.
I wanted to ask, you talk about follow-up. LeaderCast is one day, but it affects you for a lifetime. Throughout the year, when we're waiting for LeaderCast for 2018, how can people get in touch with you? How can people keep up with the journey towards each year making it bigger and better? I remember when I was living in London, I attended this conference called Color, and it's a women's conference. And what I first heard about Color after it had ended, and what made me still want to go the following year, is because they kept up with everyone who wanted to come, people who came the year before, and kept them motivated. So what is LeaderCast Belize doing?
Okay, well, like I mentioned, one of the things that we do is a weekly blog that goes out every Monday, and so we keep in touch with these different people. Another thing is that we do personal coaching, and we also do, of course, group sessions, and we're always available. We're not an 8 to 5 organization, and so a lot of the people who attend have our personal contact information, and they know that if they can't get us, they can get to our husbands, they could get to people around us. And so even with us, it's a matter of bringing everybody into the fold. And so we're always available for contact by phone, by email, and we're always ready and willing to help.
We run a social entrepreneurship model, by the way. So for every paid job we do give back. And so, Jamie, you met us at UE. That was a give back. We do things around schools around the country. We have individual mentees that come into the office and all of that. And so for every company that supports us, they're actually supporting us doing our work. So if you want to be a part of the blog or buy tickets for LeaderCast, 610-3032, or email us at chamberlainconsulting1@gmail.com. We'll put you on the list, on the blog list, and keep you updated. And like I said, you can call in, you can ask us questions. We're completely available for anybody, because we believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. And it is our role, it is our responsibility and our duty as a part of Chamberlain Consulting that anyone who is a part of our organization has to understand that give back is key within the environment.
Now, is there limited capacity for the event?
Yes.
So let's talk about tickets and prices and where people can buy them.
Certainly. So we do have limited capacity because there's only so much that the Biltmore can hold. But we still have tickets available. They're currently at $395 per ticket. And that ticket, of course, comes with its own package, including the attendance to LeaderCast. You become a part of LeaderCast on a whole. So even LeaderCast, once we get your information, we submit it to LeaderCast, and then LeaderCast then continues the follow-up with the participants. You get LeaderCast booklets, you get a t-shirt that we've created for LeaderCast Belize, and then you also get a gift from Chamberlain Consulting each year, and of course that comes with snacks and meals and everything in the actual event. And for tickets, you can always call us at 610-3032, 610-3883, or you can contact us at chamberlainconsulting1@gmail.com, and we have the tickets available.
But if you call or book today and said that you saw us on Open Your Eye today, you can get it for $100 off.
Okay, there you go.
But
take advantage of that.
Be booked and paid for today.
Today,
yes. And you have to mention that you saw it on Open Your Eyes, or Jamie or Marlene sent you.
Now, you have worked in many different areas when it comes to building leadership skills, motivating Belizeans, and trying to effect some sort of change. What do you hope will be the outcome of this particular seminar?
I believe that it's a continuation. Like when Jamie mentioned earlier about the conference that you went to, that there has to be follow-up. People want community, people want continuity, and people also need to know that there are like-minded people around them, because we tend to follow the fold. And if we're hanging around negative people who are going down a negative spiral of development for themselves, then we too fall in line with that. We found out that the sum total of your worth is the people that you hang around with. So we're trying to create systems, ecosystems, groupings, communities where people understand that congregating can be for a positive purpose, which is why we support church groups, we support yoga groups, we support dance parties, anything that has a positive focus. And especially your show, for instance, if you all continue with this line of giving off some positive feedback and impression, it makes a huge difference. I've seen Caribbean countries where they've taken on the lamppost, for instance, and just post something positive, dream big, live, smile, be patient. If you feed the brain positively, then that side of your body grows. You feed negativity, the negative side grows. Everybody wants notoriety in life, you know. We can choose notoriety by being on Open Your Eye, or we can choose it by murdering somebody and posting it on Facebook. Two different ways, same outcomes that the person is looking for. And that is why in leadership and finding out what is your end game, the end game has to be for the right purpose and the right reason, but we have to create these communities. So what we're trying to do with LeaderCast is to make sure that we invite more people, and countrywide, so that you know who are your pockets, who should I be hanging out with, who can I have this conversation with. I don't know if you realize this, but sometimes you're having a conversation and somebody comes in being negative and you turn it around, all of a sudden they're on your wavelength. But if you continue, all of a sudden everybody's bashing the same person, tearing down the same event. The reality is that we need community. Human beings are not meant to be separate, and sad to say, but social media and all of these devices cause us to be separate from each other. It's what Henry Cloud says, it creates, we have pseudo communication going on. We think we're communicating because we're talking to 2,000 people on Facebook a day. But how many people have we connected with? How many people have we hugged, held their hand, felt their heartbeat? That is when true connection occurs. Tell the truth, that is when you all feel love, right? When you're holding somebody's hand, or you're kissing them, or you're hugging them. It's not when you send out a like or a Facebook post. At the very end of the day, human beings need connections. And we need like connections, and we need to feed our soul on a daily basis. LeaderCast is an event, yes, but it actually exposes you to LeaderCast, which is an app, which is a congregation of people worldwide, where you can follow them. You also learn who is your favorite speaker, so you can buy their books, so that you can follow up. I've launched 2 books now, which is based on leadership, and so that I can follow my purpose and I can share what it is that I want. Not everybody wants to do what I want to do. However, everybody's doing their own little thing, and we have to applaud everybody for what they're making and the differences that they're making in this world. Even these flowers that Mr. Correa put out here, so lovely for you all. When we walked up today, by the way, there were rose petals trailing the staircase. You know,
somebody had a wedding last night.
But somebody will say that it was a mess. But you know what I thought? I thought, wow, Channel 5 laid roses for me. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. But a lot of us go looking for negativity. Start looking for it as if the universe is aligning in your favor, and it automatically starts aligning, especially if you know where your destination is.
Right. Well, I think that's a great way to close off. Of course, the event takes place on May 5th.
Yes.
And so people still have an opportunity to get tickets. It is limited, so they should do so early. And today they get that very special $100 off if they contact you and purchase today. Thank you all for coming in and sharing a bit about what you're doing. And we know that it's going to be a positive experience for those who attend, and hopefully those who mingle with those who attend.
And please try to get the day off so that you all can be there as our guests. It's an 8 to 4 event. It starts sharp at 8, so registration starts at 7:30 because we don't hold up Atlanta time. It just starts going. But honestly, you'll sit there for those 8 hours and you will not believe how time has passed.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for stopping in.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to representatives of the Bandits Sports Organization about their upcoming charity Celebrity Basketball Showcase. Stay tuned.
This session is very motivating.
Some great speakers there, and I'm so excited that we get an opportunity to hear.
Book your tickets today by calling 610-3883. Join Chamberlain Consulting as we bring to you LeaderCast 2017, powered by Purpose, and brought to you by the Angelus Press, Belize Productions, Night and Day, Atlantic Bank, Sol Belize, Belize Biltmore Plaza, Belize Tourism Board, SMART, Caribbean Treasures, Tropical Vision, Belize City Council, and Avant Garde.